Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name's Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor. And in today's video we're going to be talking about why I believe that 2022 will be a good year for HMOs. And I'll be really honest from the outset, 2021 and 2020 were terrible for my HMOs. We didn't make a loss, let's face it, and we did get a lot of property growth in terms of the value of my portfolio. I mean, I think we're up 180,000 on £3 million of property since July last year alone. But we didn't get an amazing yield or a return on investment in terms of the room rents. Rooms got depressed in terms of value, and beyond that, we actually found that we had much bigger voids in all of our properties than we've ever had before. That said, this is all turning around as we speak. I think the portfolio as a whole is now about 92–93% occupied, which is absolutely fantastic. Pre-pandemic, we were right up there, like 97 to 100%. You know, a room was being emptied, we'd need to clean it, it would be gone within a few days. But we're back up to sort of 92–93%, so already I can see that the demand is returning. Now, why do I think that this year will be a great year for HMOs? And I've just put 3 points down. I have more, but I didn't want to overload this video. I wanted to keep it nice and short and concise and give you as much of the main points that I think are relevant for today. Number one, they were already a superior yield. Pre-pandemic, HMOs were getting you 20 to 25% return on investment. Now it's more like 15% plus, and that is just a reflection on how cheap money is today. At the end of the day, when money's cheap, returns reduce, and interest rates are at record lows. Okay, the Bank of England have raised it slightly to 0.5%, but let's face it, that's still very, very low historically. If you're comparing that with like a single let, you're only going to get between 8 and 12% on a single let, so 10% as an average. So already, if you just stack up the figures, HMOs were already a very good yield. It's just that the pandemic has meant that there's been a period where people didn't want to share accommodation, they didn't necessarily need to share accommodation, students weren't going to university, there was lots of reasons behind it. But there was excess supply and reduced demand. Now we're seeing the inverse happening. There's more and more demand every single day. And I think a lot of that is around point two, inflation and cost of living. And the reason is that if you've got a one-bedroom flat that you're running yourself and you're having to pay your electricity bills, you're having to pay your own gas, you're having to pay your own water, you're having to pay for your own Netflix, all these things, the cost of living in that flat is going up. And that means that, for example, a room becomes much better value. So if you look in one of the towns that I operate in, close to me, where I've just re-rented a room that was previously rented out for $625. I've written it down here because I needed to make sure I got the figures right. We've just re-rented that out for £710. Now, pre-pandemic, that room would have probably been about $675. So we've gone beyond pre-pandemic pricing now, and we're starting to bake in some of this inflation, not just the increased demand. So at $710, and I've got 6 rooms in that house, you can do the maths. It's going to look like a fantastic investment very shortly. And that's not an ensuite, that's just a standard let. But in this same town, to rent a one-bedroom flat would cost you £850 per month, and that would be plus bills. And when the bills are becoming high, then the plus bills becomes a problem. Council tax, £100. Energy, probably over £100 a month now. Water, £50. Netflix, I mean, you can see this adding up. Suddenly it's no longer $850, it's more like $1,200. So the rooms become very, very good value for money if you're a single person. Now, we in the past have been able to push our single occupancy rooms with an ensuite to the same cost as a studio or one-bedroom flat. And I believe we'll be able to do that again. That's not to say that I'm a big believer in en-suites. I'm really not. It's too many failure points. There's too many issues with maintenance on en-suites in my experience. But I do believe that when our next en-suite becomes available, we're going to put that up for $850 and see how we get on. To be honest, this $710, we put it up for $710. We're thinking we might not get too many inquiries because it was a big jump. We were inundated with inquiries. We got it done in 2 days. I'm regretting not doing $750 or $800 and seeing where the land lies. So again, this is regional at the moment. It's not happening everywhere. Some of the towns and cities we operate in, that's not the case today. But I do believe that rent rises because of the cost of living and inflation are coming. And that's my third point on here. Rent rises, right? And when you start putting these rent rises into play, this ROI up here is going to start looking fantastic. It's going to go back up from 15% if you're buying today to more like 25%. Because Because if I structured a deal around these sort of rents, that return on investment, remember, all of that money is extra profit. None of that money is being paid extra on bills, extra on water, extra on Netflix. Netflix, okay, it's £2 a month more than it used to be. The electricity might even go up by 50%, so a bill that was £100 is now £150. But that again is not a big deal when you've got 6 people all paying an extra £100. It's a massive increase in profit. So for me, I think that HMOs might be having a fantastic year in 2022. And to be honest, I'm looking at buying some more property this year. HMOs are starting to come back at the top of my list, and they weren't 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was interested in flats, single lets. Now, HMOs coming to the top of my list. So guys, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. What are you going to be buying this year? What do you think of my logic here? What do you think of my example? You know, I can run through some more examples if you want me to on another video, but ultimately, rents are rising, get in on the action. See you next time, guys. Cheers.